if the modern man is not successful, he's invisible.
Ooh, yeah, big time. Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot, and the sad truth is, a lot of men accept being invisible.
Yeah.
The systemic surrender of the black man has been so taught it hurts me. A couple weeks ago, Tyler Perry comes out with I think he's talking with Eva DuVernay, and he says, black women are making more money than black men now, and if the man can only pay the light bill, that's fine.
Right.
It's a matter of that is not fine.
Yeah, it's not.
That is not fine. It's not okay.
Right.
Life is pain and struggle. You better gear up and get a sword.
Right.
That is what I believe. So I think for black men, but they're so tired already. The most things I hear when I talk to my friend, I'm tired.
Yeah, that's a
tired.
Even for women too. Actually, we were just talking about this the other day. It's like that's the first thing that comes out of people's mouth right now is that they're tired, they're exhausted,
tired.
They're ready to throw in the towel.
I've been doing this since I was 14. My dad dissed mama. I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
Yeah.
The more black men need to hear that. Okay, we cried tonight. I'll sit with you. I'll chat, but we go again tomorrow. We can't give up. We can't give up. We can't give up.
Welcome to Move Us Forward podcast and TV series. This is a place where you could listen, learn, and yes, level up. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Edwina McKinnon, and on this episode, we are going to be dropping gems after gems after gems. So if you've been locking with me from the beginning, now is a great time to grab that notepad, that pen and paper, and start writing down some gems, because we're going to be getting the ground running with one of our profound, greatest speakers, one of the most inspirational individuals that we've had on the podcast. So I'm really excited about this one. So if this is the first time that you're meeting Trivelle Simpson, I want to introduce you to him and give you a little bit more background of what he stands for. So he has made a significant stride in the financial sector with a decade-long career and in many different prestigious firms like Davis and Henderson, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, and Manulife, and climaxing all the way to a COO at Shell Service Capital. His journey fostered a deep-seated passion for market innovation and leadership. And with that being said, in 2016, he founded the Drive Group. And he is a visionary when it comes to venture and venture capitalists. And he analyzes a lot of the different trends. He is now a leader in venture capital and real estate, constantly redefining business norms and seeking transformative opportunities. I introduce you to Trivelle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. That's a crazy introduction. So I was interested when you hear what someone says, which is just interesting to distill it all down to those few words there. But thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we're super excited to have you part of this initiative and this movement, because we know that you're going to move us forward like never before. So we're going to take the fluff out of our conversation. I wanted to look at this segment called really the beginning, the genesis, and the motivation of what inspired you to kind of start the Drive Group.
Sure. I think at a big level, my mom is an entrepreneur. So at a huge level, there was, you're kind of in a young life where you see the difference between sort of baking your own bread and traditional employment. At a small level, when I was 19, so 2008, 2009, I had this desire to kind of want to be in the market. And then 2010, Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps comes out, starring Shia LaBeouf, Michael Douglas. I see guys wearing suits talking about making money on Wall Street. That changed things for me. And that was the bug of wanting to use money, making money. By the time I got to 2014, I had discovered derivatives trading, which allows you to take sort of fractional ownership of a stock or a commodity, or in my case, precious metals, gold versus US dollar. You assess the market risk. You make a decision to either buy or sell. And if you're right, you make money. And that was key. I mean, my first trade account that I opened, I started with $1,500, which was my tax return at the time. And I doubled that money in the first night to $3,000. And then I doubled again to $6,000. But on my third night, I lost money. But I had the confidence that the industry could pay. And I just had to improve my skills. And I guess that's been the journey that I've been on for, my goodness. Now, what's been almost 10 years. 2014, I started trading. We're about to be 2024. So 10 years of trading. But prior to that, all my work experience had been in financial institutions. Like you say, I started at Davis and Henderson when I was 17.
Wow, great beginnings. And it's just, I always like to hear the tipping point that caused somebody to go like, it's almost like a graph where you start like maybe linear and then there's that uptick. So it's really nice. From what I heard, it's like your mom played a huge factor, seeing entrepreneurship around you.
Yeah, it's funny. When I told my mom I wanted to work for myself, she said, don't do it.
She works for herself, no?
Yeah, she does. But I think it's that thing that, which I tell people all the time, a parent's desire for you prevents you from success because your parent wants to keep you from pain.
Big gem.
And well, it's hard, right? But if you really want to be successful, you're signing yourself up to hurt. And I think that at the time, I was soft. She wasn't wrong. I was soft because my mother's a great mother. My father's great. So they really did care for me and love me and coddle me. And I think she probably was right at the time. What she probably just didn't understand or didn't assume is my capacity for competition. I'm very competitive. And I think that that's more what helped me with entrepreneurship than it is, anything else.
Yeah, let's talk about that competitive spirit because you're actually the seventh person to talk about
Competitive?
How important is it to be competitive when getting into entrepreneurship?
Everything.
And when you talk about competitiveness, are you being competitive with yourself or competitive with other companies and businesses?
I have a competition problem.
Okay.
I'll tell one quick story. I was once in a church league baseball team.
I see where this is going.
It was co-ed and it was self-pitch. So that means your team is throwing the ball to you.
Okay.
Your team's throwing the ball to you. So it's so not for aggressiveness. And we had a BCF. People remember this. We had a playoff game. We lost the playoff game. I was so mad about losing, I couldn't close in prayer. Everybody in the team, they're coming together, they're circled up, and like, okay, let's pray. And I'm in the corner because I'm seething angry. I have such a I hate losing.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel like with entrepreneurship and then those in business, it almost like gets me to think that you have to have a particular DNA set.
Yeah.
To be successful and want to get into entrepreneurship. So it's like it's reconfirming the things that I've been thinking about is having that competitive spirit because you want to win. Yeah. And it's almost like getting into entrepreneurship, if you don't want to win and you don't want to be the best, you don't want to dominate, it's like what? Yep. For me, it's kind of like, what's the point, right?
I remember I would hear people, and again, I think it's a difference between what people want. So for example, this is the story I tell people. Imagine you're Aladdin.
Okay.
But there is no genie. Where do you have to go? Who do you have to become? What do you have to learn? What happens to your brain to become
who you want
to be, to be riding a magic carpet? Because if you think about Aladdin, I mean, I'm a Disney fan. If you think about Aladdin, this is a street kid who tells a princess, I could show you the world.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, big jump. Yeah, I'm actually seeing where you're going with this.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a street kid who only has ever seen a small space, and in a week, he tells a princess, but I could show you the world. Come with me. I know. But what he's trying to say is that my brain is so beyond what I've been around my entire life that all of this is just camouflage.
Right.
I often luxuriate in the memory of the room I was in. When I first left college, when I moved out of school, I moved in with my father and he moved me into a room.
Right.
And the dreams that I had in that room changed my life.
Yeah.
But it's the ability to be in the room that small.
Right.
But still dream that big.
Right.
That is the key. And you're not competing with anyone else. And if you are competing with people, it's like even the comparison hurts. When I think about competition, especially young, I'm in finance. Young, Black, urban guys, the stress that they have, most of their heroes hit when they're 18.
Wow. Because
all of our heroes are entertainers.
Right.
All of our guys are athletes. So they hit when they're 18. You come out of school at 22 with debt, you're livid. You're actually livid because who's my contemporary? I live in Toronto. My contemporary, Drake. Drake's been the biggest artist for 15 years. He's only 37 years old. So that means that at 23 years old, he was a king. And you're 22 and you have nothing. And that is the space which you live in. I think there's other communities and cultures where they look at a guy at 45, 50, just coming into his stride, and they say, oh, that's fine. There's a uniqueness to the urgency of the Black entrepreneur because everything feels like it has to happen right now.
Right.
And that competition is, that's the scary thing. I say it all the time. Robert Smith is a finance guy, private equity guy, $11 billion.
Billionaire.
Robert Smith didn't tell people he was he didn't come out publicly until he knew they couldn't catch him anymore. That's the uniqueness of the pressure of a Black entrepreneur. Robert Smith should have been as big as Mark Zuckerberg in terms of talking about it. Right. As big as Warren Buffett in terms of talking about it. As big as the CEO of BET. in terms of talking about it. As big as Tyler Perry in terms of talking about it. Never talked about Robert Smith. Robert Smith only came and revealed himself to us when he was up $8 billion.
Right.
What does that say about where his brain was at and what he thinks the world would have done to him? What he thinks they would have, because there's that urgency. So when you talk about competition, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that happen in a person's mind that is difficult. I think the hardest thing when I think about when you talk about competition, when you talk about entrepreneurship, the hardest thing has been struggling to relate to my family the more successful I get.
Right.
Because I see how different we've become.
Right.
You know, I love my father, but, you know, he wanted to be an entrepreneur and did it. There's quit. I love it. Dad, there's quit in him.
Right.
And when we talk I've seen the difference of my father saying, "You're my son," to "How did you not quit? This stuff looks like it should break you."
Right.
And then it's that, there's like almost nothing behind the eyes when I say, "Yeah, but it can't." High school friends that I grew up with, you just don't relate to anymore, because what you become when you're Aladdin and there's no genie is not, it's not an easy process.
Yeah, no, sorry. Getting goosebumps just like listening, because I feel like, especially in the Black community, we all come from that upbringing, right? Where you become successful and you have parents that, like, I have a father right now who's been trying to be an entrepreneur. He is an entrepreneur, and it's like you see him going through the urgency mode that you talked about. But I want you to elaborate on that urgency mode, because that's something that I actually deal with personally. So it's actually because I was smiling inside, because I'm like, I literally turned to my sister the other day and I'm like, we have to operate on urgency. And I don't know where that feeling is coming from, but all of a sudden it just clicked in me, like, urgency mode, now let's go. So when you talk about urgency mode, is it something that of a positive feeling, or is it something that we should try to learn to cultivate?
I think you have to harness any emotion that you feel.
Okay.
I used to have this saying, I heard it from Ray Lewis. I played football. I love football. Ray Lewis used to say, "I'm pissed off for greatness. Every day I'm not there makes me angry."
Right.
But you harness that. You let it motivate you. I think, you have to cultivate every one of the skills at your disposal.
Right.
But the key is that you have to be so self-assured and self-motivated without making people feel uncomfortable. Because you can go fast alone, but you only go far together. I would not be me without my team.
Right.
Which means that I've had to convince other men and women, your dreams can be found if you help me get mine. That's a hard sales pitch.
That's a big, actually 19 Keys said the exact same thing that you said. And I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to that, because very profound what you're saying.
Well, it's key. You think about the social contract that exists. And most billionaires sell a product. So they sell a product. So we elevate them. There's this line that says, "Caesar rules the mob, but the mob must rule Caesar." Leadership is so important.
Right.
Empowering is so important. That's another thing that I think in the Black community we struggle with so much.
Right.
It's so hard. No disrespect, I love us. It's hard to get a Black person to work for you.
It's so hard.
Because they don't want, "I'm the man."
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Right.
And it took me a while. I would talk and I'm trying to figure it out. It is because both with women and the men, the Black experience when you go through middle school, high school, especially if you're athletic, is the only experience where you'll be a king, run place, and nothing another place. You'll be on the basketball team, you'll be a king, they'll love you. You'll go to class, they'll laugh at you for getting questions.
Yeah.
You exist in a paradigm where you are everything and nothing all at the same time. So when you're in a process of leading, then there's the backfighting. Everybody comes, "It should be you,
Yeah.
It should be you,
Yeah,
It should be
absolutely.
So one thing I do with my team is I tell everybody where they're good. You're a genius in this. And I make it clear, you're a genius in this. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't.
Right.
But you also have to make sure that in the beginning, what you're doing is what you're great at. Because in the beginning, your team can't watch you fail. They have to see you
Right.
get out of a spot that they could never get in. Which is when you're an entrepreneur and when you're first starting out, make sure that what you're picking is in your aptitude. There's 9 forms of intelligence.
Right.
You have to know which one of the 9 that you fall into and make sure that what you're doing in your company leans into that. If you're not a people person, don't make that your thing.
Yeah.
I always say Steve Jobs got people to work for him because he was a visionary. People say he's a jerk, but I have no idea how he came up with that new idea. And what Steve Jobs knew was to keep everybody on side. I got to turn out the ideas every single day.
Right.
All the time.
All the time.
I don't have to be the friendly guy, the loving guy, but they have to know that if they tried to come sit in this chair and come up with the iPod, the iPhone, they wouldn't do it.
Right.
That's the balance that he understands. Other people, They don't come up with a new idea at all, but they lead well.
Right.
Everybody's on side. You see with coaches, they love to play for them. That's the wizardry of this whole thing. So that's why I always say when people say, "Oh, should I get into trading? Should I get into this?" Pick what you love.
Right.
Pick what you love, and then double down on that, and then learn how to get into that. Trading is my aptitude because I love the politics. I love economics. I love money. But my real skill is team building.
Okay.
That's my real skill. My real skill is bringing components together that otherwise wouldn't fit.
Right.
And managing all of that together towards a single goal.
Okay, so I have lots of questions for you.
Yes.
Because you just opened up a can of worms here. So especially with this mentality of wanting to do it by yourself, because I feel like this is in a lot of Black entrepreneurs' mindset right now. They're dealing with imposter syndrome. They're dealing with the self-belief that you spoke about. And then on top of that, now you're seeing through your lens is like, you can't do it by yourself. Like you could do it by yourself, you'll get far, but to get further, you have to get a team.
Yeah.
Have you ever allowed family to be in the mix of your team?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah. No.
No. And even so if there's family right now that have the skill set to be on your team, you're still saying it's a no at this point.
Because you want volunteers.
Volunteers. Okay.
You want volunteers. You don't want. We take partners, not passengers.
Okay.
So my whole thing is, in the beginning, if you are not willing to bleed, I don't want you to come when you see it works.
Works. Okay.
And get anybody.
Yeah.
There's three things that you're doing in any form of management, in any form of team. You're either training somebody, you're tolerating somebody, or you're terminating somebody. In the beginning, when I grow my team, I build it from loyalty. I don't build it for capacity. Because I want to know that if we're in a foxhole, I trust you.
Right.
I don't care that you know how to do the job if you're going to try and backbite me. So all, 10 hires in, I'm picking for loyalty. So that was the opportunity for my family to get in.
Okay.
In the beginning.
Right.
Oftentimes your family don't want to get in the beginning.
Yeah.
If they do, then great. But those first 10, in my personal opinion, you're picking people who you could put your wallet in their hand, take a nap, wake up, and there's still every single dollar bill in there.
Right.
Once I get past 10, I've insulated myself. My big network is people that I would bleed for. After 10, you start hiring for capacity.
Okay.
And then it becomes even harder for your family to get in.
Okay. And then the trust issue, right? Because there's always those trust issues. How did you develop that skill set to know who to bring on and who not to bring on?
I always say, people say, how do you know who to trust? I joke with people all the time. You know who to trust.
Yeah.
Because when somebody does something to you, the first thing someone says, I should have known because they did that. Listen to that voice. Don't ignore yourself.
Okay.
We being a human being is a beautifully transformative experience. You know what it's like when somebody's happy for you and when somebody's asking so they can wait for your downfall.
Right.
You know the difference. I got some friends, when somebody's thinking, wow, good for you, I can't wait until it's my turn. And when somebody's thinking, why you? Those are two different energies. I'm okay if somebody comes to me and says, let me hear what you did. Because when I'm up, man, I tell you what, I'm coming for. I'm okay with that friendly competition.
Right.
What I'm not okay with is why you, not me.
Right.
What I'm not okay with is I'm better than you. I'm not okay with that.
Right.
But I am okay. And I have mentors that I say it to them as well. One gentleman, they consider him the nightlife king of Toronto.
Okay.
So when I first met, he's an older man. When I first met him, this guy owns different venues, hotels, and I'm slowly getting into development. So we're at this mixer. I went up to him, I shook his hand. He shakes my hair. How you doing? Yeah, she's Trivelle Simpson. And here I shook his hand, I grabbed her firm. I said, my name is Trivelle Simpson. You don't know who I am, but the next time you see me, I hope the name means something to you. Now, he knows what it is, and we chuckle and we laugh, but he knows what that is. That's all. He said, I'll see you.
Yeah.
And then every time I see him, he'll come and goes, how's the name going? Because you said you're going to come get me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not me saying, I think you're this. No, that's, I'm in your venue. I'm going to spend my money. I'm going to this.
Right.
But you're going to see me.
Yeah.
I'm going to catch you. So, okay, let's see. There's room for that sport.
Right.
There's room for that in sport, but there isn't room for dirty fighting, I don't think. I love boxing. I love combat sports of all kinds. And if you think about it, even in a relationship, two people can wail on each other. They go 12 rounds, but if they fought fair, they'll hug.
Yeah.
They fought fair, they'll hug. And that's competition. That's business.
Right.
Let's fight fair. Let's give it everything we have.
Yeah.
Let's do it the right way. And I think your team will respect you for that. Some of the people you're going to fight with the most are your team.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, that's why it's important, I guess, to be very critical with who's on your team. Because you're going to fight with them. You're going to love on them. You're going to hug them. And they're going to be a competition at some point. So
that's it.
Lots of gems. So let's talk about especially entrepreneurs that getting into doing some great things.
Sure.
just with risk taking, I think that's something that you've qualified over time. What are some advice that you can give to entrepreneurs right now that are looking to take some of maybe their money or investors' money to put up into a business or a dream that they have? What are some steps that they can take?
Obviously, you take it with a grain of salt. I can only share my perspective. I think you got to risk it like you have $1 billion.
Risk it like you have $1 billion.
Because the billionaires win.
Okay.
Right? So you risk it like you have $1 billion. Bill Gates is asked early on, Bill, you dropped out of Harvard to start Microsoft. Why did you do it?
Right.
People think he's going to say, I love computers. Bill Gates said, I knew that if I was wrong, Dad could get me back in.
Interesting.
That's an elitist mentality.
Right.
But you need it.
Okay.
You got to be like, and this is the thing I used to say to my dad all the time, because, you know, when I first finished school, my dad was kind of, he couldn't give me anything, but he wouldn't charge me rent when I was saying that. He's a Caribbean family. Everybody loves to charge rent. And we would go to family functions, and man, I love my father because he would defend me. You know, Danny, you know, make the boy end up paying nothing. And he's like, no, it's, you know, he's working. Every day he leaves the house, he's working.
Right.
And as time goes over, he was the first to say, you know, what my boy's giving me now is more than I would have ever collected from him in rent. I gave him a chance to go. I think we need a bit more of that in our communities. But what you have to accept, if you want to do it, are the 5 to 6 to 7, however long it is, years, where it feels like you're behind everybody else.
Okay.
Those were the hard years. When your friend is getting married and you are still living at home. When your friend is getting a promotion and you are still budgeting your pennies. When your friend is buying a house and you could barely leave because everything you got, is going on. You know, you're betting it on black. But my whole thing is, would I trade everything I have for everything I want? The answer is always yes, because I don't want what I have. So why wouldn't I trade it?
Right.
They said, but you're not leaving the house. But I don't want, and this is no disrespect.
Right.
I don't want the woman you've married. I don't want that. I don't want the house. I want more.
Yeah.
So let me trade. Let me play. Then as time moves on, I joke with them all the time. You know, we'll be on the golf course now. We're playing. They say, hey, let's do a trip. And they'll be like, yeah, we'll get the car. I said, no, we're not going to get the car. I'll get the plane. And they said, no, Trivelle, why do you relax? I said, let me tell you if I got something. When you guys were trading out your life, 6 years I was sitting at home, what would the point of all that be if I can't come down and show you what it was worth when I traded here? So you have to, but everybody loves the entrepreneur's journey when they get over. Everybody. Even right now, we're sitting, we're talking, I'm so appreciative of this. I couldn't have begged you. I couldn't have begged you for an interview at 24. 25, 26. Nobody wants to be there then. So you as an entrepreneur have to have enough juice in yourself to live through those days. Live through especially as a man. I mean, being a woman I know is different. I can't speak to the woman's perspective. I was a Shell Service Capital. The CEO of that company was a woman, a black woman. I learned a lot of nights huddling up with her. But the male experience is dramatically different.
Right.
It's dramatic because you got to leave. And everybody knows you got to leave. You got to lead. You got to have something to you. If the modern man is not successful, he's invisible.
Ooh, yeah, big time. Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot, and the sad truth is, a lot of men accept being invisible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that I've heard this quite a bit, especially with a lot of the black men, because we've been talking about these conversations. It's just a different journey for black men and black women the whole. So when you talk about black men being comfortable with being invisible, what do you mean by that?
Oh man, so many things. I love you guys. The systemic surrender of the black man has been so taught it hurts me. A couple weeks ago, Tyler Perry comes out with I think he's talking with Eva DuVernay, and he says, you know, black women are making more money than black men now, and if the man can only pay the light bill, that's fine. You know, it's a matter of that is not fine.
Yeah, it's not.
That is not fine. And the scary thing about Tyler Perry giving that rhetoric, because what he sees is that men are giving up, and he wants men to feel okay about doing that. The scary thing about that is Tyler Perry was homeless. He was willing to live in a van to get what he wanted.
What he wanted, right.
Tyler Perry didn't meet his woman until 2009.
Right.
When he was up $250 million.
Right.
Tyler Perry didn't have his child until 2014. When he was up almost $600 million.
Right.
And when Tyler Perry ticks over being worth $1 billion,
right,
the message that he says from the mountain is, guys, it's okay to pay the light bill. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Right.
Life is pain and struggle. You better gear up and get a sword.
Right.
That is what I believe. So I think for black men, but they're so tired already. The most things I hear when I talk to my friend, I'm tired.
Yeah, that's a
Tired.
Even for women too. Actually, we were just talking about this the other day. It's like that's the first thing that comes out of people's mouth right now is that they're tired, they're exhausted,
Tired.
they're ready to throw in the towel.
I've been doing this since I was 14. My dad dissed mama. I'm tired, man. I'm tired, you know? And my whole thing, so my closest business partner, a guy named Lorenzo, I'm not going to speak on his life. Nobody has a harder life than Lorenzo. Lorenzo I met when I was 17. He was 14 years old. Lorenzo's dad is an unmitigated disaster. And his mom wasn't in the country. Lorenzo was by himself. I know the fatigue in his heart, but there's this poem, it says, a little I'm hurt, but not yet slain. I'll just lie me down and bleed a while, and then I'll rise and fight again. And I used to tell him that every time. We got to cry tonight, man.
Right.
Tomorrow we got to go again.
Yeah.
The more black men need to hear that, okay, we cried tonight. I'll sit with you. I'll chat, but we go again tomorrow. We can't give up. We can't give up. We can't give up. Because that's what they want.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of like the biblical scriptures where it talks about like joy comes in the morning, right? Like you have to get up and you have to go. And that's kind of the mentality that I have too. It's like, it's just a moment. And some people allow the moment to reflect their whole life. And it's like 5-10 years later, you're asking them how they're doing and they're saying they're tired because of a moment that happened so long ago. How do you get to a point where you just accept it in that moment and move forward? Because a lot of people are stuck and stagnant in that life moment that they had.
So I'm going to share something here that's probably a bit, again, I don't mean to challenge anybody's hermeneutic or their reading on scripture. When I read scripture, time belongs to God. The moment I became comfortable in the journey of becoming successful is when I realized it wasn't up to me when it would happen.
Okay.
Time belongs to God.
Right.
All I need to feel and know is, do I think he told me it's me? That's what you need to know. What did God tell you? If he came and said, I'm going to protect you, I'm going to cover you, and I put something on your heart, put a fire in your belly, go get it. Okay, then we go then.
Right.
It is not up to me to tell God when that happened.
Right. We're not God.
To me, we learned that from Deuteronomy where Moses had followed God for years. And in a moment of frustration, he strikes the rock and says, speak to it. And God says, you should have waited. So then if you're scripturally inclined, I encourage you to read Deuteronomy. And when you read it with the perspective of understanding this is a person's 60 plus year saga of saying goodbye. And he's saying, I can't even come because I lost my patience.
Right.
And I've been with you guys for years, but I can't come. That's what people need. You got to let go of the time.
Yeah.
You just got to love the fight.
Yeah.
The fight is more encouraging than the after party anyway.
Right. The journey, right?
100%.
So let's pivot to investing because right now there's a lot of like murmuring happening. I say this all the time, like this year I've been to 58 networking events.
Yes.
Most of them are around Black entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And there's a murmur happening where there's not a lot of funding for Black innovative individuals through your lens because you're actually doing this.
Yep.
Is it the awareness that's an issue or is it really the lack of funding for Black entrepreneurs right now?
It's an awareness thing. So for example, this year we ran a competition, Drive 250. We invested in a company called Happily. Is a cheap plug. Happily is an application that allows you to see government funding and money available based off your unique profile.
Wow.
So you put in, Black male trying to do tech. It'll spit out every single source of funding available to you, and it's a single click application.
Oh, wow.
So happily, businesses like that are in the business of trying to change it. Yeah, it's difficult. 97% of entrepreneurs start businesses with their own money. Right. And there's government funding available for everybody. Yeah. They don't know how to get it. So it is an issue. Yeah. But I would say that if we are not going to go the government route and feel like, I'm not going to get approved because they're not going to listen to me, which is possible, but I'm also somebody who can say I was a part of a tech company run by a Black female CEO, and we stood in front of the Mars Incubator Fund, which is the number1 incubator tech. So I'm not going to say it's for everybody, but we did it. We got there, right? And she's the CEO, I was the CEO, two of us, chocolate making people standing there. So, and they heard us out. Good product, I think, rise to the top. But if you're not going to go that route, then you need collaboration. We need to pool the money that's in our community. Too much money.
Is that like crowdfunding?
Yeah, crowdfunding. But also, I think, look, this is a societal, cultural thing. There's enough money in the Black community to start every Black business.
I agree with you.
We just don't shop with one another.
That's so true.
Right?
Yeah.
So we got to figure that part out.
Right.
But how many, I just think about the sheer amount of churches. Over 50% Black congregation, church building getting built.
Right.
We have money.
Yeah.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
somebody will pay money for a church building and take the bus there.
Yeah,
So obviously they're not being selfish.
right. No, it's true.
We just got to be willing to come make a sales pitch.
Right.
But that's a culture thing. That could take 20 years to fix. I don't know.
Right.
But there's money in our community to do it.
Absolutely. So definitely just to reiterate, you're saying it's an awareness thing that there is money available for Black entrepreneurs to lock in right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And with your investment, like, so when you are looking to invest in a company, what does it take for somebody to get you to lock in with them?
They have to be an apex predator.
Okay.
Even at my state, and I actually just had a meeting today where I was saying, I don't get deals when they're perfect.
Okay.
People don't come to me and say, Trivelle, we really want you on our cap table.
Right.
I get a deal when somebody's short and they need the money and they think, man, maybe this black guy will help me out.
Okay.
So in that regard, you're picking the horse. You're not picking, you know what I mean? You're picking the horse. Hey, I just think that you're a horse that won't lose. Some of the businesses, it's not so much that the business that I invested in the entrepreneur worked, it's that the entrepreneur pivoted to an idea that did work.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big gem.
You're betting on the person.
Yeah, you're betting on the person. And that's like with business too, because I find some people, they buy because of the person and not the extra product.
Yep. I'll say a story. When I first left college, I was making music and movies. The guy who was my first cinematographer, he did my first music video for $50. $50 in a Sonny's Burger if you're from Brampton. Sonny's Burgers are fantastic.
Oh, Sonny's.
And I remember when we always tell the story. He went back home and his friend said, why would you even do a video for that guy for $50? It's not worth the money. He's on my chief communications officer.
Oh, wow.
Because he made an investment of his time, because he bet on me. And years later, I was able to come to him and say, hey, I need your skill to come do this company. And I'm sure I tell you this, his salary is all over $50.
Oh, wow. And let's talk about the pitch essentials, because you said something, apex predator. Great. And then when it comes to now pitching the idea, do you feel that somebody needs to have a pitch deck, or do they just go in and sell themselves? Like, what is the strategy?
I need a pitch deck.
Okay, pitch deck.
I think because it shows preparation.
Okay.
It shows that you're studious. It shows respect.
Okay.
Any idea worth having is worth putting down on paper.
Great. Love it.
You know what I mean? So give me a pitch deck. Give me some projections. Know your numbers. Tell me how much you think we're going to make.
Right.
And then from there, if you do those things, then you're just selling a story.
Right.
Because we don't know. You're a startup. We don't know.
Right.
But tell me where the need is, how much you think you need, how much you think you're going to make, why you think you're going to make it, put it down on paper, make it look nice. And after that, we're just talking.
Right. And then so preparation for now, you got the pitch deck, now they're going into a meeting with you. What are some steps that you would encourage people on how to, especially the Black entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
There's been a stat that came out just recently, 76% of Black entrepreneurs are not prepared for investment meetings.
Yeah.
So what are some strategies that you can share with us to prepare? So we know the pitch deck, apex predator.
Yep. So I've pitched before and I've received pitches.
Okay.
A big thing that some entrepreneurs struggle with is knowing the real value of their business. If you come into me and tell me this thing's worth $10 million and it's not, you've already lost me.
Right.
Just if it's worth $1 million, tell me it's worth $1 million. Let's do that. Don't come in and tell me it's worth 10 if this, if that, and then the sky falls and then magically and then Sailor Moon's gonna come as well. Like we're losing each other.
Sailor Moon.
No, I mean Sailor Moon. So know your numbers. Come with a fair evaluation.
Right.
Be honest about where your weaknesses are.
Okay.
Because if you're not honest about where your weaknesses are, let's say you come to me and you're like, hey, I got this idea, blah, 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 and it requires a whole lot of development.
Right.
I'm not a developer. You're not a developer.
Right.
And what you've just described to me requires a lot of development. If you don't tell me how you're going to fix that development gap, I'm not investing.
Right.
Because I know that all the money's going to get burnt and you trying to fix the clear biggest problem of your business. So have the answers to the toughest questions. You're allowed to be a visionary. Tell me you have the right team in place. Put the good team together. Put up some of your own money and show concept.
Right.
If you want to be an entrepreneur and you think you have $1 million idea, put up 1,000, prove it.
Right.
Put up $1,000, prove it at a small scale. It's easier to sell acceleration than starting.
Okay.
That's an easier check for me to cut.
Right.
I'd be more, if you could, hey man, I put up $1,000, I made back 100. Man, all I need now, we can get this thing going.
Yeah.
That's an easier conversation than I've done nothing, I've planned nothing, I've put up nothing of my own, I don't have a team, but I would love your money to give it a shot.
Right. It's like almost like you're doing all the heavy lifting for the individual.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay you to prove yourself right or wrong.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's very fair. And then when it comes to common mistakes, because there's a lot of common mistakes that you probably come across, probably top 2 common mistakes that you find Black entrepreneurs make. I know we've talked about
hiring too fast or not hiring enough.
Okay.
A lot of Black entrepreneurs, and I get it, trying to pinch pennies, they do too many jobs.
Yeah, like working in the business and not on it. Yeah.
Working in the just they're doing too many things. But that's where it goes back to those 9 levels of intelligence. You're wasting time because let's say you're not a good developer. Where you're like, I could do the development.
Yeah.
It would have taken a developer a day. It took you 2 weeks. You've wasted money.
Right.
Even though you're not paying anybody but yourself, you've wasted money. Now, sometimes you can't afford it, you can't pay. That's where you got to get people to barter in. That's where your skill as an entrepreneur has to show. Because being an entrepreneur isn't just the aptitude to do things.
Okay.
It's the ability to sell people to come, like I said, come work for you.
Yeah.
So that tells me something. If you say, hey, you can't get a developer to come do this for you. No, I haven't been able to sell and pitch it. How are you going to sell a product?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. I love where the conversation is going. As we wrap up, I always love to leave on this note. You've shared a lot of gems for just anybody in any position in their life. The podcast is called Move Us Forward. So we always end on this note. In a few sentences, what could you share to anyone at any point to move us forward? What is like one huge gem that you could share with us, like a burning thing that you want to say to entrepreneurs and just black people in general?
Keep your credit good, because in Canada, it's better to have credit than cash. That's one. Be comfortable operating in a partnership, because you'll accomplish more with a group than controlling it all yourself. Don't be scared to pivot.
Okay.
Because where you want to go and how you're going to get there are not the same thing.
Interesting.
Yes.
Love it. Whoo, gems. I'm telling you guys, I'm feeling goosebumps, and I'm so excited that I was able to lock in with you, because you definitely moved me forward, and I can't wait for this episode to go live, because we are definitely moving a lot of Black entrepreneurs and Black people forward. So thank you again, Trivelle, for being a part of this initiative and movement. Again, I'm your host, Edwina McKinnon, and of course, we leave you with value in every single moment that you listen. So lock in, and do remember to hit that subscribe button, because the more that you subscribe is the more that we can actually get to connect with people that need to hear this information. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you again, Trivelle.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us. Till next time, take care. Bye.